educated back then about, the benefits of neutering and spaying. So we left him as is. He was the only dog. My yard is perfectly fenced. And then my husband's father had to get a home for one of his dogs, right? Because he couldn't keep her anymore. And I said, okay, give her to me. But she was pedigree. She's boxer mastiff. And, we had plans to spay her as soon as she came in. But my mom said, no, let her get settled down. Give her a week or so. And mind you, by the time the vet came, they said this dog looks pregnant. So I'm like, okay, this goes against everything I stand for. But my parents said, let's just let her have the pups and right after we will pay her. So said, so done. She hit us 13. She hit us 13.
She hit us 13. Oh my goodness. And who is the father?
Bolt is the daddy.
Bolt. Oh, well.
Yeah, so she wasn't in a home with another dog, right? So we know it was Bolt. And apparently, they're both very healthy because they made 13 healthy pups. And I left my job to stay home and nurse these pups 3 times a day, even though she had milk, because I find it was like torture watching them drink out her milk. And they were like, greedy little puppies. And the hardest thing in my life was giving up those pups. I actually got them vaccinated and had people pay the price that I spent on the vaccines to make sure they didn't think they're getting a free dog and they could throw it away and let it loose. I did the best that I can. You see, giving up those pups, it was like chipping away pieces of your heart. And I don't know how people can put themselves to do that. Now, I spayed Trixie. I kept 2 of the pups. So I had a family of dogs. And so the pups actually came out bigger than the parents. And then you have 4 large dogs in 1 yard. And it is expensive and time consuming. So for that reason, I tell people, if you don't have the money to buy proper chow for your pet hound, do not go and invest in one of those high maintenance dogs, because the vet bill is in the thousands every other month. This is something that they do not see and they don't listen to. And they will go ahead and get a hybrid dog, and then the pit bull or whatever it is that they purchase will have skin conditions, hip and joint conditions. But I mean, Tasha, people just don't listen and they don't take advice.
Yeah. And we are already a population that is reluctant sometimes to seek medical attention for our pets. We wait until the last minute, literally, when the dog is on death's door to try and, save its life.
And my vets actually always end up quarreling with me, because if my dog looks at me kind of funny, I will call the vet and say, this dog is depressed, something is going on with him, run a medical. The vet will be like, Tamara, what is wrong with you? Like, Tamara, nothing is wrong with the dog. But I'm always better be safe than sorry, right? And that's just the kind of care I think all dogs deserve, not where they're bleeding, they're swollen, and you just Googling stuff on the internet, or people telling you, throw some kerosene on the worms, that ought to get rid of them. Like, no, they need medical care. And the same people who will treat an animal like that and not want to spend money on an animal, I think they fall in the same category are the ones that, will want a nice, pretty blue-eyed dog, and they don't have blue eyes.
What has life been like with a family of 4 massive dogs? I mean, how has that been?
It has been an adventure, I would say. There were the good times and the bad, because I kept 2 boys, and one of them is a bit dominant. So we had them neutered, so the fighting wasn't an issue until recently they started fighting, and now they're permanently separated because the fights got really bad, like they ended up being hospitalized and that kind of stuff. So because I was recently married, I'm just taking one of the males with me, and hopefully problem solved, because they both get along really well with the female in the yard. But having them for 6 years, these dogs, as you would know, they're my life. And like, I would happily spend all of my money on them. Like, my money would just disappear, like, on these dogs. And I'd be like, whatever, they needed a toy, or, they deserve good things. I don't understand how people could do anything other than that. You do the same for your cat. When if your cat wants something pretty, needs something, why not, right?
Yeah, no hesitation.
No hesitation. So while I have 3 other members of my family, my sister, mom, and dad, we all live together. They contributed a lot in the care of these dogs. However, even though we have all of this help, you still feel bad about certain things, like not being able to walk the dog every day. Because my dogs are so big, and the stray situation, or even people having dogs and not having them behind proper fenced yards, we have a situation where somebody's dog will run up to my dog to rush them. And my dog is 3 times their size. And if my dog picks up their dog off the road and shakes it, they will want to call the police for me. So because of that, if I have to walk my dog, I have to throw them in the car, take them to the park, and then walk them there. So it's a lot of effort. So what we do instead is that every day we spend like half hour with them playing fetch, tug of war, catch and rescue. Every day in the afternoon when the sun goes down, give them some kind of exercise. And that in itself, it's difficult for somebody to fork out that much time every single day to ensure that their dogs get exercise. But it's something that we know we have to do, and we do it. So yes, I do have a lot of help, and it's still very difficult. So I can't imagine, living alone and having so many dogs. I would not recommend it. And another thing, while I love my dogs and everything, I think people need to know the sacrifice that goes behind it. Because you can't go on a family vacation again. You have to do it in parts. We stopped going on family vacations because we can't trust that somebody would come twice a day, every day, change the dog's water, feed them, pick up the poop. So we literally sacrificed that, but we did it happily because we love those dogs like it's our children. So it is not a problem for me and my family. But other people who don't feel the same way about their dogs, I think it would be a major issue, and they would end up, having a stranger or another family member come and handle the dogs, and they just won't get the proper care. So the sacrifice is large, yes, when you have 4 dogs and they're so big and people are afraid of them, but I think it was worth every second.
Now, the title of this episode, Tamara, is Doggo Bonito, a play on the phrase Doggo Bonito, used by Brazilians. Could you explain why I might have named the episode Doggo Bonito?
After Trixie had these 13 puppies, it was a battle at home to decide which one to keep from the batch. So naturally everyone had their favorites. All the same, Mom and I chose one each. And the rest we had to give away. So these pups were born on the 30th of May, and the FIFA World Cup began shortly after. This was in 2014. So, being loyal Brazil fans, our pups had to be named after these players. The pup I chose had a huge wrinkled face and was fatter than the others, so we named him Hulk after the Brazilian forward. Hulk is super lazy and does nothing about 95% of the time, but he does have daily outbursts of wild behavior where he would take down anything in his path. He actually sent me to the hospital once after headbutting me during one of his wild ramps. So his name definitely stuck. The pup my mom chose was named Thiago after Thiago Silva, the central defender and captain of the Brazil squad, because he acts like he's always in charge. And of course, he really and truly runs the house to date.
I hear that. And finally, as we wrap up, is there one piece of advice that you would give for the public in terms of caring for dogs in particular? What's the thing that you think they need to understand before you adopt or purchase a dog to live in your home?
I would say a dog is like a child. If you cannot commit love, care, and resources, do not get a dog.
Simple and sweet.
That's all.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Don't bother. Yeah, if you wanna adopt, if you wanna help the shelters because you like dogs and you don't have the time, go bathe a dog in the shelter, donate food. But if you can't commit that every single day, don't get a dog.
Tamara very kindly shared with us some very helpful dog care tips. So here they are now.
Daily grooming if your dog is a shedder like Hulk, occasional brushing of the teeth, or daily dental treats. Potty training always comes in handy. Even though most people in Trinidad has access to decent yards, you don't know where you'll end up. For example, you may have to move into an apartment without a yard. And it's important that your dog has specific training on where to relieve itself. Monthly worm outs. Your vet will give you a bottle that can last you all year. It's very cheap and works very well. Tick and flea treatments. Very important. I recommend Bravecto, which is administered once every 3 months and keeps your dog safe from all parasites. I have been using Bravecto for a couple of years. I swear by it. Just ensure that you get the correct prescription for your dog or cat, since there are different pills for the various weight category. Obedience training is important to ensure that your animal understands you. For example, teach them the words come, no, sit, stay, go, down, etc. Get your dog to listen even when there are distractions. Trust me, it comes in handy. Annual vaccines and checkups. For older dogs, I would say run some extra blood work every year just to be safe. Ask your vet about vitamins that your dog may need. Every dog has different requirements. Bathe your dog at least every other week. Most dogs with normal airs have cleanings at least once a month. Others may need more frequent cleanings. And don't worry, if you don't have time to do all of the above, there are local companies in Trinidad that can handle it for you. I recommend Pet to Vet for transportation of your animals, and I recommend Pet Assist TT for dog baths, dog sitting, grooming, etc. And of course, most importantly, in the dog care tip session is lots of love and play every day.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tamara, for speaking with me and sharing your life experience with dogs and with rescuing.
You're welcome. Anytime, Natasha. It was a pleasure.
So that was Tamara Ramlagan. You should definitely check out the Animal Rescue Association of Trinidad and Tobago on Facebook and Instagram to assist in whatever way you can to their cause and to the shelter they're constructing in central Trinidad. Very good initiative indeed. My commentary this week about the dumping of animals, as mentioned by Tamara. I mean, I am not an active rescuer and I am worried. With every Facebook post I see of babies, newborns, kittens, puppies being found in the most unlikely places, and the rescuer begging for help to just keep them alive or to be fostered or adopted. I am sure if I were to count the number of posts that pop up every day, they would be in the dozens, and that, my friends, is way too many. But seriously, what is being done to address the stray population in Trinidad and Tobago? And if there's no coordinated effort, where do we start? I know there was a committee set up under the Ministry of Agriculture some time ago, but what have they done since then? And how does a citizen access their findings, reports, or whatever they're supposed to produce? I am putting it out into the universe right now that I will get an interview with the Minister of Agriculture, whomever he or she may be, to discuss this in detail. Because legislation alone is not the answer. There must be a coordinated, nationwide, including Tobago, of course, because you know we just forget them, a coordinated, nationwide approach to the problem, which I am fairly certain has been analyzed to death by all the animal welfare organizations that exist. But to wrap up on this issue of strays, I don't know if I am preaching to the converted here, but Trinidad and Tobago, this is not it. This is not it. This is not how we treat animals, pedigree or otherwise. We need to do better, and as they like to say, the children are watching us. So, every week we'll ask our guest to describe an animal in need of foster or adoption and feature its picture on the Animalia socials. Here is Tamara's Rescue Me.
So, recently a member picked up a litter of puppies that was dumped by a garbage bin. It's actually being housed, the litter is actually being housed by one of our members. They were tick infested and needed treatment, but they are fine now. They're too young to be spayed or neutered. They're just a few months old. And I sent you a picture of one of these pups from the litter. He is a sweetheart. He is so soft and cuddly, and I think he'd make a great companion for children and adults. So if you're interested in adopting this sweet guy, or even one of his siblings, you can call us at 665-8857 or send us a message on Facebook at the Animal Rescue Association TT, and we'll be in touch with you.
And that's episode 3 of Animalia. I hope you enjoyed it, and please send your comments, share the podcast, make some noise for the little podcast that could. Remember, a new episode drops every Friday, so you can find the link